And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another week of the Lost Sheep Podcast. My name is Cole Bissett, and I am joined here by my fellow compadre,
Nazario Pangallo.
Oh, welcome back. What a beautiful week. What a beautiful day here in Tuscaloosa. It is just a glorious day outside. I went outside.
There's something different about today. I don't know if you guys can tell, but there's something different.
Oh, man, it's almost like the
something,
OGs
something
are together
different.
today. What?
Something like that.
OGs. Yeah, we're missing our third member today, Mr. Evan Herbert.
Shout I'll never listen to it, so it won't matter. Don't worry.
Facts. Shout out to the OGs who know why that's funny. But Mr. Evan Herbert is busy this weekend. He is at.
You said it again. You know that?
I did on purpose. Yeah,
he's
sure. At the search retreat
which I'm sure he'll blabber away about next episode.
Oh yeah, y'all will hear all about it. But he's at the search retreat in Montevallo, and he had just a really busy week this week. And we had a quote prepared for this week, and we asked him if he wanted to do it on Tuesday because I was going to be busy on Tuesday. And he said that since it was my idea that the two of us should record this quote because it was just it was something that I wanted to talk about. And so we decided that it would just be Nazario and I for this week. So we're excited. It's a little weird being back to the space that we were at the beginning of our podcast. It feels like just yesterday I was staring across the dorm room at Nazario, shaking his hand for a thumbnail. But no, now we're here. Here you go, guys, for the memories. But now we're here. We are back.
We gotta do that as the thumbnail, actually.
Yeah, we should. And but I'll do it with the regular background. But I'll have this as like the silhouette. Yeah.
Or maybe you should just like take the first thumbnail and just put that picture on
over the top. I mean, maybe that'd be kind of funny. Anyways, Nazario, how has your week been? It's been a pretty great week.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the reason why specifically. I'm sure many different times, especially shout out to the foreshadowing of the Shepherd of the Week. We'll be getting into why our week was so wonderful. But we had just a great week. Something awesome happened on Wednesday. I also had an exam on Wednesday that went pretty well. We were able to get done with that in a good amount of time to get to our special event of the week. But we're going to save that until Shepherd of the Week. So no talking about that till the Shepherd call. But other than that, we had a good amount of intramurals this week. The COREC basketball team, that's the only team we're going to shout out here on the pod, only one worth mentioning. They defeated the number 1 overall seed on Thursday night in the playoffs. We took them down, headed to the quarterfinals, and folks, this is really our redemption tour. So last year we had just the magic, the miracle, not even miracle, just a miraculous season. And that's the same thing as saying miracle right there.
Yep. Same.
We just had an awesome season led by Sam Somperak. Shout out Sam Somperak. He was on the pod. Go back to that episode. Shout out. And he was just an unbelievable player. He had some unbelievable games. And we also had Will Kane, former Alabama basketball player. So we had a pretty legit squad, and we were playing in the semifinals up by 6 with 50 seconds left, folks. And we choked away on free throws, ended up going to overtime and losing. And since then, we have been trying to get back to this moment right here. And that was a battle in the first round. But now, back to the quarterfinals. We no longer have Sam Somperak. Rest in peace. He just graduated, that's all. But
in the seminary, though.
Yeah, he is in the seminary. So we are trying to redeem ourselves. And in the first round, against the 1 seed, we played against a player. Her name will not be named. And she was on our team last year. One of the best players we had. And she left us for a different team. So there was some extra motivation on Thursday night to get that dub. Now we got to go forward, close things out. We'll keep you updated on that, folks. Don't worry.
I was not aware that Will Kane was a former Alabama basketball player.
He was. Former walk-on on the squad.
Oh, wow. Well, that's cool. He's absolute stud. Such a good player.
He's in our Bible study, too, folks.
Yeah,
Shout
he
out.
is.
Will Kane.
Random appearance last week?
Well, he's in our Bible study.
Yeah, he is.
He's in.
Yeah, now he is officially.
Yeah, so.
Anyways, so Nazario had a great week. I had a great week. And we, like, the depth of this week and the true reality of why it was such a good week can't be talked about at the moment. We're going to get to it. You'll see.
We're going to force ourselves, folks, to wait till the segment and foreshadow and make you guys really wait and watch the whole episode to figure that out.
Yeah, it was truly just such a transformative week and very beautiful week for the two of us. But let's see. To begin the week, I did I have 2 tests this week? I can't remember.
You said you won on Thursday morning at 8 a.m., folks.
Test on Thursday morning did not go well. Spent a lot of
no
time.
grade back yet, so no guarantees.
Just spent a lot of time with Jesus this week, so I felt at peace about it, really, anyways, so that's okay. Last night, I can talk about last night, though. Last night, me and Evan Yeager, shout out Evan Yeager, got the beautiful opportunity to play praise and worship for the women's retreat during their holy hour. and it was absolutely incredible. I got to play some piano. I don't often get to play some piano.
Yeah, I was surprised by that, but that's pretty cool for Cole.
Yeah, it was cool. So
What instrumental? What do they call people that can play
I don't
multiple
play
instruments?
piano. I play piano.
Yeah, you do. So people that play multiple instruments, what's the name for that? There's got to be a name.
Multi-instrumentalist. All right, he's looking it up. But yeah, so we got to play together. It was awesome. No, you don't normally get two dudes singing together for Spirit and Truth, like just two guys. Normally it's like a guy and a girl. So
especially
cool.
when they're the only males in the church, completely.
Yeah, literally the only. Well,
Y'all
Father Wyman.
Father
Wyman
Wyman
was there. Yeah. So, but do you have the name?
Correct. You are correct. It's multi-instrumentalist.
Okay.
That sounds like very boring. That they don't have a better name for that.
Yeah, I don't really know. But without further ado, let's get into our quote of the week for this week.
Ladies and gentlemen, the quote of the week.
Oh man, I am so excited for this one. I saw it this week and I was so giddy and I was like, I can't wait to send it to these guys.
First off, where did you see this at, Cole?
Where did I see this at? Because I don't have Instagram.
You don't have
Is that
Instagram.
why you're
Where did
curious?
you see this?
See, I was looking up. I was like, all right, I want to actually spend time researching a quote this week. 'Cause like normally it's like something just pops up, and I was like, I want to spend time, and so I went on Safari and I was like, give me some mind bending, like some mind bending.
Did you go on
quotes.
Safari or did you go on ChatGPT?
I went on Safari.
Okay.
I did, and I was like, I want some mind bending quotes that like are really gonna challenge us and are like interesting philosophically, theologically, whatever you want to give us. And so I was just sitting there scrolling on Safari, and eventually I stumbled upon this quote, and the quote says, "Your eyes can only see what your mind can comprehend."
Is prepared to comprehend.
Darn it, so close. Your eyes can only see what your mind is prepared to comprehend. And that is by Canadian playwright and writer and poet. I mean, he's multi-talented. Yeah, don't you like that little bend right there? Robertson Davies. And
You think
Davies
he's related to Alfonso
yeah,
Davies?
I was about to say, very, very famous last name in Canada, you know, like
Yeah, it's not a great week for Canada though, so this is why we're jumping on the pod and
Oh,
featuring
man.
them because they're just in mourning after getting absolutely dominated by the United States on Sunday just in the entire Winter Olympics, men's and women's hockey taking down Canada in the final. So
yeah, so the Lost Sheep podcast had to give them our
we needed
empathy.
to
Empathy.
mentor little brother a little bit. So,
Exactly. Kind of like the Auburn-Alabama relationship. But yeah,
Alabama to Auburn relationship.
thank you. That's
Clarify.
more accurate there. But yeah, do you wanna start on this?
Yeah, and the first thing we always do when someone begins talking about the quote, they always repeat it. So I'm gonna repeat it.
Ooh.
The eye can only see what the mind is prepared to comprehend. So I'm sitting here. Cole, I know what he's going to go into. Okay. And so trying to
he knows
adjust.
what I told him I was going to go into.
Yes,
The question
that's
is, do
fair.
I stay with
That
what I
is
said I
fair.
was going to do?
But the thing that jumps out to me when Cole read it that time is prepared to comprehend. Okay, there's a big difference between what Cole was going to say when he was going to say the eye can only see what the mind can comprehend, and a difference between what it actually says, what the mind is prepared to comprehend. So this, I think, goes a little bit into the intent of comprehension. And Cole, of course, has the definition of prepared, ready to go, and comprehend. So I will later let him do that. But intention, I think, is definitely behind this quote. What you have to intend to comprehend to be able to see. And trying to think of a good analogy. I don't know exactly what that is yet, but I hope we can think of a good one to help people rationalize that. I'm kind of curious why, we didn't look this up, why this man, Mr. Davies, said this quote. This was just random, or maybe he was trying to see in his plays, how
Evan
do I...
would be upset of our lack of context here, probably.
Yeah, there's a little bit of lack of context here, but we are obviously going to take this and form it to the Christian message here. But I start off with thinking about prepared to comprehend. Prepared to comprehend. What does that mean? What does that entail? So, yeah, what do you think, Cole, right off the bat?
See, so let's look at the biological end here. And Nazari and I have talked about this a lot and done
Cole's
some listening.
going biological as an engineer. I like it.
But it's also kind of theological at the same time. Your eye is only meant to see the visible, right? It biologically, in the way it works is...
I actually... Hold on. Say that again? Say that again. I don't know if I agree with that.
Oh, man. Your eye is only meant to see the visible.
That is very false.
you just gonna say back yourself up here?
Okay, think about it, Cole.
Oh, here we go.
When you see something, are you only seeing what is visible?
Yeah, you're seeing what's visible. That's what visible means.
No,
Ki- Oh goodness, here's the psychologist.
Well, think about it.
Here.
If you see someone and they're in anguish, are you only seeing what's visible?
I don't think you're seeing. I don't think that's your eyes.
Then how would you know?
Your mind. I'm about to get into that.
Mhm,
Trust the process here. You ready?
Well, hold on. But if you're seeing something, that is your eyes telling you something that
Mm-mm.
your brain is interpreting.
I don't. I see. I disagree with you on that end. This is
Okay.
gonna be fun. This is gonna be a fun episode. Okay.
What do you?
Let me
go for it.
exaggerate. No, not exaggerate. That's terrible. That is not the right word. Elaborate, but elaborate was not even
No,
right.
that's right. That's right. I like that.
I was thinking like exonerate. No, elaborate.
Elaborate. Of
Yeah.
course. Of course.
Elaborate. Let me elaborate my point here real quick. Your eye is meant to see the visible, and your mind is meant to comprehend the invisible. And so here's what the direct correlation is. Your eye actually necessarily doesn't have any function of reason. Your eye just sees. Biologically, that's all it does. And we talked about this earlier, is your eye, and Robert talks to us about this all the time. Shout out Robert, because he's colorblind. And so
Awesome.
the way he loves the biology and our anatomy and like how the eye actually works. And he says the only reason we see color, the only reason we really see is because of the light reflected on the sun onto an inanimate no,
That's tough to say. I don't even know what you're going for.
an object.
Inanimate? Is that what you're going for?
An object. Yeah.
Okay.
An object. It shines on an object, and that light is then reflected back into our eyes. It's just natural reflection. And so that's why we're able to see. Because think about like a camera lens. When a camera lens is closed, it's dark. And when it's open, the light is reflected onto that and into the lens, which is then reflected through a mirror into what our eye sees as a picture.
Well, into the retina and then into
Yeah.
the nerves that go through to your other half of your brain. So really, if you're seeing from your right side of your eye, that's actually coming from the left side of your brain process. Yeah, okay, I guess I'll stop.
So there's Nazaria's what class is that?
Physiological psychology.
There you go. Physiological whatever that is. But yeah, and so your eye necessarily is completely independent of your mind. It functions as its own entity. Wow, man, I am struggling with
Your
words.
eye is its own entity.
Yes. And so here's why. I think they work together in union. But your eye doesn't see the anguish. Your brain comprehends that anguish. Your eye gets that reflected back to it, but then your brain comprehends it. And so
Well, actually, I would just say that the eye does nothing.
yeah,
Like the
sure,
eye's
yeah.
pretty-
It's what Saint. Oh, hold up. I had this pulled up because I was so excited to talk about it. Saint. Here we go. Not Saint. I wish I knew who this was. Lactantius echoes this, describing the eyes as windows. It is more true and evident that it is the mind which through the eyes sees those things which are placed opposite to it, as though windows covered with pellucid crystal. And then Clement of Alexandria, Saint Clement, I do know that's the same, says this: mind sees, mind hears, all besides is deaf and blind. Right? Without our brain, our eye is useless. Right?
Well, I would say without your brain, anything is useless in your body.
Yeah, there. It is the. I wouldn't say it's a center point because I would say our heart more is.
Well, your heart wouldn't be able to do anything without your brain. So I would say the brain is the center
Okay,
point.
there we go. They're both our center points, our central organs or whatever. But independently, they mean nothing without one another. And so that's where I disagree on the fact that I don't think the eye doesn't comprehend anything, and I don't think it sees anguish. I think your brain comprehends that anguish, and the only way you're able to comprehend the anguish and recognition of somebody is by pattern learning. It's being prepared, right? Like we see it in other people. The way this person acts is going to tell you what they're going to do. So say Nazario, here you go. Here's an easy pattern.
Oh, yeah.
Nazario
we
sees
go.
this every morning with me. I come downstairs, right? He texts me, and this is also another pattern. There's a couple here. He texts me around 7:02. It's like almost on the dot, like every morning. And he's like, "Are you awake?" Knowing that I'm probably awake. It's just whether I choose to respond to the message or not. And every single time I'm like, even though I know he's going to do it, I'm still like defeated. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm awake. I won't ever text him back, but I'll just walk down the stairs. And this is where the pattern is. Every time I come downstairs, Nazario always knows when I'm really tired because I do the same thing every morning. I go and like blink my eyes really, really tight, and then I shake my head. and it happens every morning. Every time I'm tired. It's when Nazario goes, I
Very
can tell
funny.
you're really tired today.
It's pretty funny though.
But would you know that? Would he know that 100% if I didn't do it all the time when I was tired? No, like I could do it throughout the day. And with that, you'd probably just think I was weird. You'd be like, what is wrong with this dude? But because he recognizes the pattern in the morning, he's being more prepared to comprehend how to deal with that. And so on days that I'm more tired, we don't talk as much walking over. On days that I'm more energetic, we do talk as much when I walk over. And so that is preparation. What do you think? Do you agree with me now?
Well, we are just very circular with our arguments, Cole, because we were both saying the same thing.
It's kind of
to be
what I
honest with
thought
you.
we were talking about.
Usually what
honestly.
happens.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to make the point of is your senses, whether it be your vision, your hearing, your smell, your touch, would literally just it doesn't work. It's possible to actually test this out and experiment, but they don't work without the brain. If you cut off any nerve from anything in your body going to your brain, that part, that function is done. It's gone. There are experiments, studies, or just people have case studies where people have lost a certain nerve and it's just gone while other parts are still there. So someone could lose their pain nerves, their pain receptors, and does that person still experience pain? Like if I have no pain receptor, do I feel that?
I don't know if
Do
y'all
you
can
feel
hear
that?
that, but he's clapping.
Like,
There
do
you
you
go,
feel
there
that?
you go.
Well, no, you don't because
No.
of your brain. Because
Mhm.
your brain has no ability to comprehend those things because it is not receiving any information. So your brain is really the receiver, and everything else is just a giver. So simple as that, really. That everything is a giver of information. Your brain just receives all of it and then does all the work to comprehend and make that a reality. I mean, realistically, your eyes aren't seeing anything. They're literally just sending a signal to your brain, and your brain is saying, okay, well, this is this, and so this is what it actually looks like. Kind of insane. It's quite unbelievable. Same things for your touch, for your senses. Same thing for your smell. All your senses, all they're doing is just taking a signal and giving a signal to the brain. Say, hey, brain, you do all the work. Here you go, and then it does it.
Mhm.
Okay, so now okay, we've gone way too physiological and biological
This
than
is better.
anyone probably could ever want to go into on a
But we've laid the
Lushy
foundation
podcast.
for you now.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
why this quote is relevant to us.
As
now we
our
got
shepherd of the week would say, we put the first brick down for the foundation.
That's a great point. That's a great point right there. Now we're going to understand and make sense of why does this matter for the Christian faith and why does it matter. And Cole has our first subject for that.
Yeah. So this is what I talked to Nazario about this beforehand. I was like, this is kind of what I want to get into with this. This is what my first thought is, kind of just as a Catholic, as a Christian, this is where my brain goes. So prepared to comprehend. Nazario highlighted that at the beginning. That was kind of like our main point. It was like this change of words. Because at the beginning I said can comprehend. Is that what I said? And then prepared to. And the prepared to is the main part. Like, which is funny that I slipped up on that because it's the most important part about the quote, in my opinion. And so you might be asking yourself, why do we need to be prepared to comprehend? Like, what's the point? A general basis blank statement would be like, oh, practice makes perfect. Yeah, I mean, that's summing it up into a little component, sure. But what I want to talk about is our free will. Every day, we make the conscious decision through our eyes and our surroundings to do acts, to make deliberate acts, good acts, bad acts, morally neutral acts. We make decisions throughout our day. Thousands and thousands of decisions. We made a decision not to record at the usual location today. If you can't tell and you're on audio, well, welcome. This is our humble abode. You may remember it from like episodes 40 around there.
I actually have no clue.
Oh, yeah, only God knows the answer to that. Well, YouTube does too. But so you can go look for us. But yeah, welcome to our humble abode. But we made the conscious decision not to go to Sabin today. We were like, since it's just the two of us, we might as well do it in the comfort of our own home. But the reason I say this, and the reason we need to be prepared to comprehend, is yes, we are given free will, and we are given the gift by God to choose goodness or choose evil. Now, we need to be prepared, if we really want to choose goodness, to choose goodness. We need to be prepared to know what the evil acts are, because the world does a great job at hiding those acts and making the evil acts seem good, making our desires seem good all the time. Even though there are definitely actions that are morally wrong. And so what defines a morally wrong act and what makes it a mortal sin? And so I kind of wanted to get into that. And so the three key things that make a sin mortal are grave matter, full knowledge, and deliberate consent. And I'm actually going to spin it, and I'm going to say those are the three things that make a good act as well. Great matter, full knowledge, and a good intent. Like, those are the same. It's the same thing. If you spin it the other way, that defines a good act. And so sometimes, like, I think when we look at those three, we're like, oh, this is the way for mortal sin, and it's also like, no, this is the way to have a good act as well. And so why do I say that? Full knowledge is important. We could be going around sinning and have no clue about it. Our eye can see something. Our brain only knows that it's good. We choose to do it anyways, not knowing it actually is harming our soul, right? Now, it may not be a mortal sin because we don't know about it, but it still is putting a stain on our soul that we have no clue about. God loves us. He wants us to choose him. And we may be choosing against him and have absolutely no idea. Absolutely no clue. So that's my first initial reaction. I kind of want to pinball off Nazario here because I want to see where he goes with this. I think you're kind of staying on the same topic as me. I'm not 100% sure yet, but we're about to find out.
Yeah, so I want to think about this a little bit more practical in a way of like, what does this look like in our life? How does our brain come to not know these things and think of things in a different way? And that's where we have to think about our environment, our what we've been taught throughout our lives, and how our brain learns these things. And so there's plenty. Wow, the psychology classes are. Yeah, I'm glad I'm actually remembering something. And so you have your genetics, what you've been given from your parents specifically, that affects, how your brain works, how your body works. But then you also have your behaviors, and you have especially your environment that you grow up in. And these things affect you in a combination of ways. So Cole has different genetics than me. Of course.
Indeed.
And we also have different environments for the first 18/19 years of our lives because we're a year apart. I'm a year older than Cole.
He was alive for a year when I was not even on this earth.
But for the past couple years, we've been basically in the same environment. And if we want to think about how environment affects us, how can we rationalize, how does something that is bad become good in our brains? You look at our environment, or something that is had been neutral in our lives becomes great, or whatever way you want to say. Look at your environment of how that has affected it. And so I was thinking about social psychology a little bit, Cole, and how groups affect us, and how it affects our attitudes.
Yeah.
And so for us here at Alabama, we came in, we were pretty good Christians, Catholics. We were invested in our lives. And now, like, after the last 3 years, it's like, what else would I do with my life? How does that, this is kind of like my thing, right? And so if you think about it, how much our behavior has influenced that. Cole and I, we live together. We live with two other Christian folks. We basically only hang out at the Catholic Center when we go to campus or to class. And most of our friends, if not all of our friends, are Catholic. And so when you look at these group dynamics, well, of course, Cole and I are going to become more Catholic. Our attitudes are going to become more Catholic, because that's all you're around, And so this is how the groups can affect you and can adjust your brain. But there's plenty of other ways that your environment can affect you. And so when you think about how did something become like this, how did I become like this? Look at your environment. Your environment is crucial to the way that you're affected and the way that you're going to go forward with your behaviors, with your attitudes, with your beliefs. And it's really the way we've seen the world. Whether you're on social media or whether you hang out with people, you're likely to hang out with people that you like and that people that like you. And what does that usually entail? Usually entails people that you agree with. It usually entails people that are similar to you. And so you're going to have this, layers of you just stacking on more and more evidence for what you believe and what you think. And so if you've been caught up in something that is not good or not great, but your beliefs and attitudes towards it are that you think it's good, well, then you're more likely to find people that like that and similar, and that builds on it and builds on it. And so when you think about how is my brain going to be able to comprehend and be able to be prepared to understand this thing as bad, you are going to have to do, not to scare you, some serious work. And so when you think about struggles that you've had since middle school or since you were a young kid, and you're wondering right now, man, why does this still happen? Why does it still show? Because it's been instilled in you from a very young age. And you, especially at those ages, are really building habits, and your brain is literally still what do they call that, Cole? Adapting, growing?
Yeah,
Is there?
I think adapting is
Same,
fine. I mean,
something like
same
developing.
concept,
That's
yeah.
the word I
There
was
you
looking
go.
for. The
Great.
brain is still developing, and so you are training your brain in these ways, in whatever way that your environment is doing it. And so once you get past that age, that's why it says people when they grow older, it's hard to change. It really is because your brain has developed, and these things in your head that have been shaped by your genetics, by your environment, by your behavior, it's really hard to change them. And so when we think about this, and when we think about something that we know is bad or something we do that's bad that we don't know is good, the environment has shaped it in so many ways and has shaped your behaviors, your attitudes towards it, your beliefs towards it. And so to be able to go in there and to be able to change things is a really, really serious, deep thing to try to have to do. And I'll let you take it for a little bit because I've been rambling a little bit, but there are some more things we could go into for that.
And I'm gonna keep. I like this flow, so I want to keep bouncing off of you here. I think Nazario is really getting into the nature versus nurture argument here, and he's going in a lot more of the what's the right word? He's going into the theological perspective. Another little like natural tidbit, of like Nazario and I's lives are kind of like a social experiment of like what a college roommate, like staying with one college roommate through your entire college career, what that actually looks like. And Nazario and I came into school with completely different ways that we went about our day, if that makes sense. Nazario was not a morning person. How has that gone for you, real quick?
Okay, this is fascinating. This is a great point. So freshman year, most of the time, I would find out when my classes are and how late I could sleep in until that would get me to my class on time. Okay, and that was basically the mode. That was the way of life. And then Cole was a different way. Cole can explain.
Yeah, so I grew up on working on a farm for like the last 5 years of my life, and so I was always told every day. I'm sure you can imagine from farmers in the local area. They're like, if you're not up by sunrise, then you are missing daylight. You're burning daylight. You're killing time. And so that's always like what my brain was. It was like, all right, get up when you can, get to class on time. So for me, I'm always like 8 a.m., 8 a.m., 8 a.m. And people look at me like I'm a psychopath, and I'm like 8 a.m. And so what happened naturally, and a lot of things changed.
Cole's claim was, I want more of my day. I was always like, well, I just want to sleep. I mean, I'll use more of my day later.
Yeah.
So.
And a lot of things changed. There was a lot of things like that. Nazario came in. He loves cold AC. Loves it. Absolutely adores it. I did not. I remember I woke up one morning and it was 63 degrees in our house. And I was like, holy cow, I'm going to die. This is terrible. And I put up with it. And then I kept putting up with it. Now I like cold AC. And our ways of life started to merge over the last 3 years into the same thing. We live pretty much the same way. Our brains actually are the same in social atmospheres. It's kind of weird. We'll go out and hang out. It'll be like a Bama Catholic hangout party. We'll go out, say hi to everybody, and then literally in unison, we'll walk up to each other and we'll be like, "Yeah, we're done. We're ready to go home.
Let's go home."
Yep. And it's the same. It's the same. But anyways, yeah. And so, not only theologically do you start to join together as another person, you actually like sociologically join together in your daily habits in your daily life. And so going back to Nazario's nature versus nurture argument, I did a presentation freshman year for English class. It was with a crime, and it was like comparing how much nature and nurture actually, like which one really takes the cake when it comes to like, your daily life and how you're raised, how your brain functions. And a lot of it is nurture. And so what I think this quote really gives a good warning to is how important the early lives of children actually are. How important it is as kids, as guys our age, and people that are entering into the adult life, entering into relationships, whatever it may be, how important it is that when you get married and have children, that you raise them to the best of your ability. You give it your all. Your Catholicism, your life, your morality, everything needs
your
to be
attention and your
given
love.
your attention and your
exactly.
Thank you. Better. That's a better defining characteristics. But those two concepts are extremely important because those are the most important foundational ages of humanity, of peoplehood, of our lives, because they make us more moldable, more shapeable when we get to these ages. Nazario and I were very fortunate that we grew up in a Catholic household and with two really great families, honestly. Like, we have really great families, and we are extremely blessed in that opportunity and that ability. And so when we came to each other, it was like instantly, it was like, all right, how can we be better about our faith? I remember like within the first weeks of meeting each other. We had opened up about Catholicism, and we're instantly like, all right, when we get together, we're gonna start doing like a daily rosary. That didn't last forever, but we did do it.
We were pretty good
Yeah,
freshman year,
yeah,
actually.
freshman
We were
year
pretty
we were
good about
great.
that.
And so we started doing that, and it was like, all right, we're gonna get a badge together, and then this and this and this, and now we have a podcast. But like that is how much the nurture really means. Like if Nazario wasn't nurtured that same way, or I wasn't nurtured that same way, my college career would be very different. Our lives would be extremely different. But because our brains were prepared to comprehend what we saw in each other, what we saw in the faith, we were able to furthermore put our actions into work for God and show his love to other people. And so through the blessings that have been given to us, that has been incredible. And I know you want to go more into that, so I'm just going to pass.
Well, to generalize this and help this become more practical for your life, we're not going to do the virtuous friendships conversation right now.
Yeah,
We're not going to go there.
I thought about it. I'm not going to lie.
It's of course important, and it's a part of
Dr. Sri. There you go.
Yeah, it's part of the
Shout out.
conversation. But I wanna go more individual here. And if you're sitting there and you've looked back and you've realized, okay, that my nature or my nurture hasn't been the greatest, or you realize, hey, there's things that I need to change in my life, or if you're like, okay, how do I change in the future if this comes about? How do we take this developed brain that is stuck in its ways and think about it. We're stubborn as can be, all of us. Every single one of us. We're stuck in our ways. We're stubborn. We don't like to change. Every single human being is like this. It's just the reality of how we were made. We're like, oh, well, I've been doing fine. I've been surviving. I've been doing good. Why do I need to change? Like these things that I've had in my life, they work.
Yeah, we're not saying if you didn't have good nurture that you're cooked. Like that's not what we're going at.
And if you had bad nurture, we can still work with that. If you had, any nurture can work here.
It is just really important. It's
important, of course, and parenting very important. But we haven't really gone on a parenting conversation before, and I'm not sure if our audience would go on this or not.
Probably not.
We're individual. We're gonna look at the individuals right here, and you may be wondering, how does this happen? How am I supposed to grow in these ways? How am I supposed to learn? And that's where the Savior of the universe comes in. To be honest with you, and it's the best answer I can give you. And I'm gonna go more into it, of course. But seriously, if you want and you realize I need to change, how do I do this? And you're wondering, what in the world can I do? Simple as Jesus. It really is as simple as Jesus to start. And you've got to realize, and I'm talking to myself right now, I'm talking to Cole, because it's something, as human beings, we always try to go back to ourselves and rely on ourselves. We have to continue to remember, it's Jesus. It has to be Jesus. He's the only one that can do us and help us in this way. And Cole made a great point earlier today. He was talking about he had forgotten about this certain sin that had been troubling him for months, in like the past couple months. And he was like, I haven't been thinking about whatever it is. I've just been thinking about God. And I was like, dang it. That is so real. And I was like, that's what I should have done. And I was like, that's God. Two by fours. They always hit you for men. And what is it for females? Do you even know?
Well, I think it's the analogy is from
Evan.
Yeah.
The analogy is from Evan. Jesus talking about there's a splinter in your eye, and Evan always goes, sometimes God just gonna hit you with a 2x4, and there was one right there. And so it just reminds you, no matter what it is, no matter what's going on, one, God has seen it. He's seen everything in the whole wide world. There's no sin out there that he doesn't know. And number two, he can fix it 100%. And the number three, how does he do it? I have no idea. I can't tell you how he does it, but if you just focus on him, he finds a way. And you may think to yourself, well, I gotta focus on what can I do? How strong can I be? What's my what can I do to strengthen it? What can I do as myself? And then it leads you down a path, not inherently bad, but it eventually could lead to self-reliance. And that is not what we're going for. Self-reliance ultimately leads to failure as fallen human beings. But most importantly, well, not for most important, that's not the right terminology there we were looking for right there. But turn back to God and rely on him. That's when things are prosperous. That's when things work out in your favor. That's when he does true healing. And it's something you remind yourself every time. You go back and you go back to the confession and you're like, I did it again, whatever it was. And it was because I relied on myself and I tried to do it myself. And that's just the realest answer right there.
Yep.
And do you want to go more into that, Cole?
Yeah, of
because
course.
this was from you.
Yeah, this was from me. And, whatever it may be. I mean, there's, like, whatever it may be in your life, it really could be like you struggling with a friend. Like you're just like, man, this person gets on my nerves. Or I mean, it could be that. It could be practical. It could be it could be sinful. It could be whatever comes up in your brain, and it's like, man, I'm struggling with this. Like this is something that's been picking at me, and I want to get rid of it. I think our common what's the right word? Our
Reaction.
fleeing reaction. No, like
Our common defense mechanism.
there you go. Thank you. I don't know how you got that, but let's go. Come on. Our common defense mechanism is to hide and cower and be like, okay, I'm gonna build myself up. I'm gonna fight back. I'm ready to go. And it's like it's dudes. We're like, all right, I'm locked in. Like, dude, I'm gonna punch this in the face and we're gonna move on and life's gonna be great. And you find that is just not how it works. Like whatever it is, it just dwells and builds, and you're like, dang it. You're like, I didn't do it. I was like, darn it, like I messed up. And that's so frustrating. It's like the most frustrating thing in the world. But what I found is, whenever I started to struggle with anything, whatever it may be, anything in my life, I was like, all right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to think about it. And instead, I'm going to focus on God. And so a point that I was actually about to bring up was adoration. Right? Our mind sees a loaf of bread. Our mind sees a loaf of bread surrounded by gold. Just seeing that, you're probably like, that sounds crazy. Yep. Like, why is a loaf of bread, not even like a good looking loaf of bread, a flat piece of bread, a cracker,
Unleavened.
unleavened bread, a circular piece of unleavened bread with a cross in the middle of it in a gold monstrance. You're just like, that sounds insane. What is happening? Whoa. But you have to be prepared to comprehend what is in front of you. And so in order to accept Jesus, in order to allow him to enter into your struggles in your life, to enter into family problems, to enter into relationships, to enter into friendships, to enter into sin, whatever it may be, you have to build a relationship with the Father. In order to understand the Eucharist, you have to build a relationship with the Father. You have to comprehend. You have to be able to be prepared to comprehend what is in front of you. And that's the holy presence of Jesus, body, blood, soul, and divinity in the Eucharist. And so what does that look like? So I recently started spiritual direction with a priest up in Italy. I'm so excited about it. He's awesome. Great priest. And he had some expectations for me. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And it was all about building my relationship with God. And we're reading a book called The Discernment of God's Will. And in order to discern God's will accurately, you should be practicing these things, whether it's reading scripture daily, going through the rosary, going to mass throughout the week, receiving Jesus. You have to be able to have those things. Focusing on your relationship with God actually does help you in your areas of your life where you're struggling. Don't even think about it. Like, yeah, God, I give it all to you. I trust that I'm going to think about you, and then you're going to deal with those things. And that's exactly what he does. I think about you. Like Nazaria says, we don't know how he does it, but God waves his hand, and he's like, boo, gone. And you're like, oh, yes. Thank you, Jesus. I knew I should have just let that go, whatever grudge I have or whatever it may be. And you'll find that your life becomes a lot clearer. You'll find that you're more at peace. And, this isn't a permanent thing, right? We have every relationships has ups, downs, struggles, breakups, breaks, whatever it may be.
Some relationships don't have breakups.
Some relationships don't have breakups. Some. But, they have tension. Our relationship with the Father has conflict.
Valleys.
Whatever.
Let's go valleys.
Valleys. You like the word valleys. I went back and saw like a video that I posted. And it was you talking about valleys. You say that a lot. I've noticed that. But
Valleys.
and we still have that tension with the Father. There are times when we're like, something bad happens and we're like, God, why didn't you get me there? And we fail. It's just that our brain isn't prepared to comprehend why that happened to us. And so our eyes sees rejection. Our eyes sees failure. Our eyes sees, God, you abandoned me in a time of hurt when I need you the most. And so we enter into our defensive mode and we cower. And so what's most important, and this is actually kind of through focus, this idea, is that in order to overcome whatever evil, wrongdoing, grudge, whatever is pulling at your heart in your life, you need to focus and center your attention on God. And forget about it. Forget about it. Like, I am telling you to forget about whatever it is. It's gone. Focus on God. And it's really beneficial. And I remember I told this to Nazar this morning because I was just like, I've been so dumbfounded by it. I'm just like, wow. Like I feel so at peace. I walked out of the test today. I walked out of the test on Thursday, and Nazar was like, he was like, dang, that really sucks, dude. Because I was like, yep, I failed that test. That was bad. I was like, it was terrible. And Nazar was like, dang, bro, I'm sorry. That sucks. And I was like, yeah, it's all good. I was like, I saw Jesus yesterday. Better see him again. It's like, I feel pretty good, actually. I was like, whatever it is, there's a reason. God called me to other things this week, which we're going to talk about in a second. I'm excited. But God called me to other things this week, and that's okay. I'm okay. I failed the test. It's great, but
I think a great thing to end this section off before we go on to our next segment is to remember what do we define what our life is supposed to be about? Like, what are we called to daily? Like, what do we define it as? And for some, and I may be calling myself out a little bit, some may think to focus on, I have to try really hard to not sin and to do that and to just focus on that, and as long as I do that, I'll be okay. Or some would define it as we're called for a relationship with God, and we're called to strive for holiness, and it's as simple as that. And so on two different ways, in two different versions, you see the difference in how it works. And you see Cole's way of what it's been going on, and you see the other way. And you think, okay, that's the way. Cole's way. The way of focusing on the relationship with God, whatever it is. And to remember that we have to learn, and we have to allow God to reshape our brains. We're going back to the brain. That's where we started at, that's where we're ending on. How do we reshape our brains to have a God-centered, God-focused lens, and so that when our eyes see something, our brain always comprehends it the way that God would want us to. I don't know if it's exactly what I wanted to say, but I think we're close enough.
I think it was good. I think it's a good ending.
So we are going to head on to our practical prayer practice of the week.
Ladies and gentlemen, the practical prayer practice of the week.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so I actually had a practical prayer practice written down in the private chat, and I don't think our conversation actually went in that direction, so we're going to completely scrap that and just throw it down into the dumps, into the trash cans, and burn it on fire.
And the funny part is I didn't even know
Cole
what
does
the
not
previous
know
one
what
was,
it-
so
what-
I don't
what
know
it
what this one is
But
either.
our new practical prayer practice for this week is to try our method. So no matter what comes in your life, no matter whether it be something really bad, something really good, you always turn back. And I think for Miko, the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to just envision in my head an image of the Eucharist, no matter what it is that's happening, and to remember that, of how to retrain our brains to just, if anything ever comes up in your mind, you can just let it go, forget about it, think of the Eucharist, and to remember that. And Cole, this is your thing that we're coming from here.
Yeah.
So could you, explain and help people to understand how to put this practical prayer practice into their life?
Yeah, so something
Or
mine
am I defining it correctly?
No,
Is this what it is?
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh yeah, I think for me, and the reason I talked about this, like I said, spiritual direction, really cool. I'm excited about it. But like some of those expectations practically, like this is just a real thing that you could do if you wanted to,
It
like,
is the practical prayer practice.
it's a practical prayer practice. Like if you want to build a relationship, you have to focus on the relationship. And so these things focus on the relationship is some of these are like just expectations that I want to do throughout the week. And that is a daily rosary. Doesn't even have to be a full rosary right now. It could be like a decade. Daily scripture, pray with scripture, and then mass once a week. The reception of Jesus is really important.
Outside of Sunday Mass, right?
Outside of Sunday Mass, yes. And then we have, Holy Hour once a week. That by far, out of all of them, Holy Hour and Mass are the most important. Like by personal experience, I can tell you that. Like a morning Holy Hour does so much for the soul. It is so wonderful. It's been so great. We're so blessed here to have a 24-hour adoration chapel, like perpetual. So it's really cool. We can just show up whenever we want. And so I'm a morning person, so I'll get coffee in the morning and then just go to adoration at like 6 a.m. And it's great. I love it from 6 to 7. And it's so beautiful. So that, and then the reception of Jesus. Like you're there, you're talking to Jesus, and then you allow yourself to receive him, and it's such a blessing. It's so good. But yeah, so those are the things, and then you something else I do is a spiritual reading throughout the week. That's been really good as well. But all of these things are different aspects of my relationship with God that are important. A daily rosary shows commitment. It's like, God, I'm going to give glory to you, your mother, and we're going to, we're going to build that relationship through that. Or scripture. All right, I'm going to listen to what you're telling me this week. Scripture, God's speaking to me. All right, I'm doing my job in the relationship of opening my ears. Okay, there you go. All right, God, I get what you're saying to me this week. Boom. And then the holy hour. I'm going to go out on a date with Jesus, practically. I'm going to go out on a date with him and spend time, talk with him, bring all the necessary things, my time, talents, hobbies, investments, talk to him, hang out with my bro. And then finally, we get the epitome of the intimacy with our Father in relationship. You can kind of view this as I don't want to compare this because this is not comparable, but view it as the kiss, all right, or the hug, the holy hug. The unity between us as humans and God is in the form of the Eucharist when we are actively able to receive him into our temples, into our bodies. And if you kind of look at all those things, you're like, wow, that does make up a pretty good relationship. Yeah, it does. So, and I can't take credit for that. Thank you to my spiritual director for that. But yeah, so that was really beneficial. That's been really beneficial for me practically. But we actually participated in another form of practical prayer practice this week, and I will let you guys hear about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Shepherd of the Week.
Don't you just get goosebumps hearing that voice?
It's Cole's voice, people. It's Cole's voice.
Man, it's such a beautiful voice, Anyways, I just really boosted up the low end on that, so it sounds really deep. But
Hold on, Cole. Do you think I can throw my Powerade into the trash can live on
telephone on pod? Okay,
Yeah.
hold up.
What do y'all think?
You want to try it, and then I'll go.
Is yours empty? Okay.
Yeah.
Folks,
we're not betting, man.
Pause
but who would you
the
bet
video.
on here?
Pause the video. Comment who you think's gonna make it, Cole or Nazario. If I make it, you subscribe. If Cole makes it, you like the video. If neither of us make it,
Yeah.
share to a friend.
If both of us make it, you do all three.
All three. There we go.
All
All right,
go
first
ahead.
shot from me.
Let's see.
Y'all can't see. You just have to believe us.
Oh! No way.
The bank is
Actually,
open, baby.
Okay. hold up.
Buckets. Let's see what
Well,
Cole's
now I
got
have
to
to make it, dude. I just freaked out.
Come
Their
on.
ears are so cooked.
do. Come on, Cole.
Oh!
And it is no good. So, folks, since I made it, you must, what did I say? Subscribe to the podcast. Okay, you can get into your Shepherd of the Week now.
All right. So our Shepherd of the Week. You know what? Let's actually give context first of all to the Shepherd of the Week. Nazario, this is what we've been waiting to talk about the whole time.
So if you lasted strong through the whole podcast just to see what foreshadowing that we were going for, here is your chance to have it all come to fruition.
The reality of both of our lives, the realness. Here you go.
Yes.
This is everything. So I got invited about a couple weeks ago from a friend of mine from the Vigil Project Summit in Italy. Shout out Charlotte. To go help lead the youth at a local retreat in Birmingham, Alabama, and
St. Mark's.
St. Mark's.
What
And
is it called? St. Mark's.
I think is it St. Mark the Evangelist? St. Mark's. But while he's looking that up, and so they needed a youth leader and they needed somebody to help with praise and worship. And so I said,
You are correct, Cole. St.
thank-
Mark the Evangelist.
there you go. And so I was like, bang, sign me up. Let's do this. I'm so pumped. It's going to be awesome. It was during Spirit and Truth, so I unfortunately had to miss that this week. But I think God called me there for a reason. And I was like, do you by chance need one more person? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, I have a friend of mine. I've lived with him for 3 years. He's like my best friend. And
He's your podcast partner.
he's my podcast partner, and his hair's really curly, and he's kind of short. And she was like, does he do Bible study stuff? And I was like, yeah. She was like, all right, sign him up. And I was like, all right. So I immediately texted Nazario, and we had entered this predicament. And what was that predicament, real quick?
I had a biology exam at 3:30.
And
The retreat was at 5.
and it's
It was an hour away.
an hour and 15, right? Wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Nazario had to finish his exam in how long?
Well, I don't know how long we shot for, but I know that the what it did take.
Yeah. The goal was like, he needed to finish his exam in like 15 minutes, basically. And he has an hour and a
A
half
50
long.
question
Right.
exam.
An hour and a half? Yeah, 15 minutes. And what was your final time?
12 minutes.
12 minutes. So I'm sitting there in my car, and I'm like, all right, I have no idea when he's going to get out. I might be here forever waiting on Nazario. And I texted Charlotte, and I was like, we may be late. I have no idea what this looks like. And Nazario texted me, and he's like, are you ready? And I was like, you're done? He was like, yeah. And I was like, all right, I'm behind the building. So we hops in the car, and we bolt down to Birmingham. Well, is it up? Yeah. No.
Up to Birmingham.
No, it's down.
Northeast.
It's down.
That's northeast.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Northeast. Yeah, you're right. It
To
goes.
Birmingham.
Got it. So northeast to Birmingham. Drove down. So excited. We said hi to Charlotte, and then we immediately got plunged into the youth of the retreat, and it was so cool getting to meet new guys. Nazar and I had a blast. We love reminiscing on our high school times, and so getting to hang
And
out
middle
with high
school.
school. Yeah, and
Especially with, the boys out there.
Yeah.
The boys are a lot of fun.
and so getting to hang out with some of the times that we really reminisced with children and teens like that was really cool. And so my group is awesome. I got 9th graders. You had
They had
8th
8th graders.
8th graders. Yeah, so we had a blast with that end. But our favorite part of it, well, I have 2 favorite parts, but one of our favorite parts of the retreat was the speaker. And so our shepherd of the week for this week, he is from good old California. He has been involved with Life Teen. He has been involved with all sorts of net missionaries across America. He's what is his thing now? Is it Seen and Unseen? I think is his company, something like that. And he's been doing Steubenville Conference speaking events for 10 years now. I didn't even realize that. I saw him when I was like 12. When I was 12, I saw him at a Steubenville Conference. Crazy world. And so I talked to Charlotte, and Charlotte was like, no. I was like, no way you actually got this guy. And she was like, yeah, I know, right? I was like, whoa. And so when we got there, we were greeted by the familiar face for me, unfamiliar face for Nazario, the David Calavita. So shout out, David. You're awesome. It was so cool getting to meet you and talk to you. Nazario and I got the opportunity after his talk to go up and talk to him. And it was just incredible. What was your favorite part of his talk?
My favorite part of his talk was his simple phrase, God doesn't need you. That's it.
I'd agree with that too.
That's what he said. He obviously had a point to it. And his whole point was, God has no need for you to live, no need for you to exist,
Emphasis
But
on
he-
need.
but he wants you to.
Mm.
And that is what matters. And that wants are stronger than needs. Wants are strong. Well, actually, I don't know if that's true. We'll rephrase that. We're gonna correct that. But wants are chosen. Needs are not. He chose to create us. He chooses to have us share in his divine life. He does not need it at all. It gives nothing. It adds nothing to his greatness, but it profits us for salvation.
Mm.
That actually is directly from the Mass, but
Yeah.
at the end there.
Yeah, that's funny. But so not Nazario's profound words, but the churches. But I think both of our favorite parts about the talk, and I think Nazario forgot this part. But he asked a question at one point, and he was like, "What does it mean to be perfect?" And this little girl raises her hand. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Because like you're at a high school, middle school retreat. You're like, oh, there's going to be some goofy answers. It was the first hand raised. Little girl. She was like, she seemed so shy, but her hand went straight up. And he was like, oh, right here, over here, you. And she said, it means to be like God. And I was like,
The voice was crazy. I can't.
It was good though, right? Is it good?
I don't know.
Anyways, I looked at Nazario, and I was like, whoa.
No, yeah, she shouldn't say be like God. She said you're
I said,
basically
yeah,
God.
yeah. And I looked at Nazar and I was like, whoa. And then I said, did you expect something that deep? Like, were you that deep when you were like 10? We were like,
Just worried about video games, man.
yeah. I was like, that spiritual maturity is incredible. And I think even David was taken aback for a second. He was like, yeah, exactly. So it was really crazy. Yeah, because to be perfect means you are God, and that's why we are always talking about pursuing excellence rather than perfection. But it was such a cool experience. David he's so blessed with his words and his speaking. He's hilarious. He is a hilarious dude. Nazar and I were cracking up the whole time. And then we got to talk to him afterwards. And hopefully, you can talk. You can talk.
So last week we had met Dr. Edward Shree at a talk here at Alabama, and Cole and I were like, all right, we got to go for it. So we went up to him and asked him if he could be on the podcast. We don't know. Maybe in the future. You never know in the world. We're not gonna never say no. But
Michael
then,
Jordan, you miss 100% of the shots.
exactly. And then so we had another opportunity with David Calavita. We went up and we asked him. Well, actually, we slyly poked it in there. I first said, so what are your thoughts on podcasts? Have you ever been on any podcasts or anything like that? And he's like, oh yeah, I have been on a few. I love it. And then Cole sneaks in. He's like, yeah, we actually have a podcast. If you'd ever want to join us.
Well, I actually
And
first was like, all right, I need to like really smoothly transition into this because Nazar and I went up and we are like, who's gonna do it? And then I was like, I told Nazario he was gonna do it, but internally I was like, I'm gonna help him out here. And so he said, yeah, you said that part at the beginning, and then I was like, so we actually the two of us run a podcast, and I was like, do you have any advice for the two of us
Mm,
that
you
would
did
like
say
really
that.
help? And then I was like. And then after he was like started talking, I was like, well, actually, I was like, if you're at all interested, I said, we'd love to have you on. And what was his response to that?
he was like, oh yeah, that'd be great. Let me give you my email address and you can reach out to me. So
Yep.
we are, promoting this, trying to,
Before
get
getting a
it going.
response on an email.
An
Yeah.
email has been sent to Mr. Calavita. He is our shepherd of the week because of his amazing talk and all of the work that he has done for us. And with the hope that, he'll be on the podcast one day. If we can make it happen, we will make it happen, folks. But what you can do is you can like, share, subscribe, get this spread so that he has even more
Reason to come on.
incentive to
Yeah.
come to the podcast. And yeah, so our shepherd of the week, Mr. David Calavita. Cole, you have anything to say about this wonderful evangelist?
I think if I went back, I was telling this to my parents. I was like, if I went back and told my 9th grade self that the dude that I saw on stage speak in front of like 5,000 people was going to be on a podcast with the two of us, I would tell you you're crazy. First of all, I wouldn't even imagine myself running a podcast at that age, but that's crazy. It's like a dream. It was so cool. I remember being so transformed by his talk when I was younger, and like it was just so good. One other thing about that night, like I said, I mentioned that I got to go help lead praise and worship. And St. Mark's in Birmingham is absolutely gorgeous. So if you get the time to go down to like a beautiful church, like go to St. Mark's. Their sound system is really great too. And so I got to be up there and sit in the choir loft with Charlotte and her friend, and I didn't catch her name. I was really disappointed about that. But I was just there, and I was like, this is so cool. I was like, these people are so talented. I feel honored just to be here and sing with them. It was, and the adoration was beautiful. It was so moving. It was just, I remember we got in the car, and it was all we could talk about was just how great the night was and how incredibly blessed our opportunities have been in college with how much we've been able to do. So, yeah.
It was incredible. We are so thankful for that. We hopefully will have the great opportunity of bringing David Calavita on the show. If not, we are still so thankful and appreciative of everything that he has done for us. We are going to give you now our final thoughts here on a lengthy episode, a hour episode from just two folks here, just Cole and Nazario. And I'm trying to think of a proper analogy to make this make sense.
It is funny
for
that
people.
that we had an hour episode because we actually met a few people down there who subscribed to our podcast.
Yeah, we
so you too know who you are. And I know one of you will get really excited about this. They asked if we chirped a lot at each other. And like we were like, oh, we definitely do, but Evan balances it out a little bit, which is true. He's kind of like the what's the word? The mediator between the two of us, because Nazario and I, like, we pick at each other because we're best friends, and so that's just what we do.
Just how it works.
And so now that there's no mediator, we're back to chirping. So this is very natural. This is what an average conversation looks like between the two of us, in all honesty. So yeah. But anyways, sorry, I interrupted your
No, you're all
glorious
good
ending
because
here.
I'm still searching for an analogy to properly
There
make
you
it
go.
make sense. But all I can do is describe the image in my head, but I can't think of a proper analogy. But basically, what we're trying to get from this episode is to understand what it takes to prepare, to understand, to comprehend what's happening in the world in terms of our life as Christians. And that's kind of the reason for the podcast, right? Is to take any type of message, any type of quote, and make it make sense for us as Christians. So we're trying to learn how to have the lens of Christ in everything that we see and everything that we comprehend in our minds. And so I have this random image in my head of this person just kind of like sitting, and they have their eyes on the Blessed Sacrament. And around it is pure anarchy and pure chaos. There is just wind, there's water, there's rushing, there's memories, thoughts, clouds, everything flying on by. And there's just this person sitting there with their eyes on the monstrance, completely calm and just resting right there. And I think that's kind of what we've kind of grown in this episode and progressed towards is this image right here of what it means, and what we've been trying to learn in our lives, and what we want to get to is to remember to have the eyes on the Lord and everything else that is happening, because those things are still going to happen. That to remember that key anchor, that key to your life, that center, that really the only thing that matters, and to learn how to just rest in that.
Yeah, I'm gonna add another analogy because this is fun, and
Let's go.
I kind of
Let's
want to
go.
add on top of this. Which one do I want to do? There's two. Okay, I'll do this one first. No, I'll finish with that one. All right. Nazaria and I are in our home, our humble abode at the moment. We're sitting down. I want you to imagine our home as the vessel, as our body. Our eyes are the windows. They're what is outside of our body, our vessels, what is out of our physical control, and our interior is our mind. Us, what we're doing, the room, our items, what we own here. That's our mind. This right here is kind of like our central point in our like daily lives, like our home. We come back to it all the time. This is where we are. That is what is that's what life is like. In order to be prepared for the outside, we must first be prepared in the inside. Right? Our brain needs to be prepared. And so every day, what do we do to supply ourselves for the day? We eat food. And where do we make food? We make our food here. In the mornings, we go get our mind ready. We go work out, come back, eat food, shower, get ready for the exterior world to go out and be more presentable. This is why I use this one first, because now I want you to use a different place. I want you, all right? Think about your local Catholic church. For you, this is St. Francis with me. Now, imagine, it's so much more profound this way. Imagine the windows are now stained glass. All right, your lens is different, and inside of the home, the vessel, the church, is the Blessed Sacrament, as you said, and your mind is present with it. Your mind is resting with it, and you said that your mind is worthless without the heart, so your heart's there too. Our hearts are restless until they rest in you. And so when you gaze out the windows and you look out the windows at the exterior world, your eyes are now clouded with this vision of beauty that you see through the stained glass. This vision of when you're looking outside, you're looking through what would be a good one? All right, let's see. Like there's Simon helping Jesus carry the cross. When you're looking out into the world and you're encountering somebody who's going through a rough patch, and your mind can only see that vision of Simon helping Jesus carry the cross, and you're like, right now, my friend needs me to help him carry that cross. And that is what you see, rather than just using that opportunity to be like, dang, that sucks, bro. Sorry, I can't help you. It's it. And then just laugh it off. It's a different perspective on your day-to-day life. When you see something or somebody in need, something that you can do better for yourself, and encounter a sin, whatever it is, and you look through that stained glass, and your brain is resting with Jesus, the best comprehender, and the Holy Spirit, who is our counselor and our knowledge, and God, who gives us the strength and the beauty and loves us. And you look out the windows, all you can see is what God would want you to do. So my encouragement is to focus on our prayer practice this week. Really give it time. Actually, invest. And see how much your lens changed. Right? Like Nazario said, this is our podcast. This is our goal. This is why we're so passionate about what we do, is simply because of the fact of the matter. as this is as Father Mike would say. But my pitch to everybody is what we do on our podcast is we break down everyday quotes, aka our lives outside of our home, everyday quotes, and align, all right, that's our window with our eyes, to the Christian message, the church, our hearts, our minds with Jesus. Then if you look at it from that perspective, and this is why I was so excited about this quote, man, it's what we do. David was so excited about this too, and we talked to him about it. He's like, oh, I love y'all's idea. That's so great. He's like, I think it's very often, the unseen is so often unrecognized. And that's our goal, is to bring light to that. As St. Therese said about the unseen saints, remember? And how much value there is in them. And so bringing them to light. And so that's kind of the goal. So help reorient your mind in the nature versus nurture argument. Right now, you don't control your nurture anymore. So stop dwelling over it. Forget about it. You're here, your presence, your nature matters the most. Surround yourself with people who are going to help you see through the eyes and windows of God. And then you're going to find that your life will turn out a lot better. Anyways, I know that was deep. Go back to your classic ending here. Subscribe, like, comment. Oh, please comment on the basketball shooting video. I want to see y'all's guesses. Where I'm gonna guess y'all went his way because I'm not a basketball player. But subscribe, like, comment. We have merch. I'm not wearing the merch I thought I was, but we do have merch. Nazario still doesn't have a shirt. It's actually so criminal the more I think about it. We have wristbands for free if you ever want any of them. Yeah, if you want to be a guest, my goal, I think this year, by the end of this year, I want to have a website for us. And hopefully have like a area where you can fill out information and it'll send it to me. But if you want to be a guest, just shoot a message to any of us. Some of you may have our phone numbers. Others of you who don't, just shoot a message to us on Instagram, DM us. I don't have it restricted, so you literally can send us anything. If you have quote ideas, practical prayer practice ideas, Shepherd of the Week, you have the wonderful opportunity to contribute to this podcast at any point. This is a podcast of the people. All right? We are constitutional. We have a constitution, and our constitution is that we are for you. So remember that. Remember that. Remember that. Remember that. Remember that. All right. Anyways, this is so exciting. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Lost Sheep Podcast. And God bless.